Yes, thank you for the nice introduction. Good afternoon. Since it's already been a long day, I imagine you all to be very tired, so I asked ChatGPT for an XR joke. Let's see. So what's a VR headset's favorite exercise?
Anyone?
Head tracking. Yes. Now that we broke the ice and also humor, I would like to introduce us. I'm Bastian Fibi. I'm an XR developer and junior research engineer at the Austrian Institute of Technology. And joining me today is Gersa Tome, an XR researcher, also from the AIT. What is the AIT? It's Austria's largest research and technology organization and a leading development partner for Austria's industry. Today we are very excited to talk about how XR is helping industry transforming towards a climate neutral industry.
Before we continue any further, I just wanted to tell the AV guys that we're having an issue with the timer. So if you can start the timer for us, that would be great. Thank you. So thanks for joining also from my side. As my colleague introduced me, I'm Gersa. I'm an XR researcher at the Austrian Institute of Technology. And the very main core of this presentation today is presenting NEFI, so New Energy for Industry, NEFI and its projects. We will go through them one by one, and in the very end we will also present one other very interesting project which falls not under NEFI but which also goes in the same initiative direction. Here you can see the title of the talk. It's called Green Realities, XR Applications in Environmental Tech Made in Austria. I would like to highlight the fact that it's made in Austria. So all of the solutions that you will see today are generated from the Austrian industrial network, and all of the solutions come from great minds in this country. Okay. So in this slide you are seeing NEFI, the vision and the goals. So NEFI, New Energy for Industry, has one major goal, which is to have a climate neutral industry by 2040 in Austria. Now, as you can imagine, this is a great challenge to achieve, and also quite a mission that we as NEFI have. But this, of course, is focused on three main pillars. So the very first one is climate neutrality. So what we're trying to do here is basically convert all of these solutions in industry towards climate neutrality. So basically doing that by introducing renewable energy sources. This brings value creation for Austria and also makes Austria compatible in a market that is global. Other than that, resilience is also a crucial pillar that NEFI is based on, because by focusing on renewable energy sources, then we're not so much reliable on gas energy sources. We can go to the other slide and then introduce basically four of the main projects that we will introduce today. Basti?
Yes, so since the industry is a major source of CO2 in Austria, making up around 30% of the nation's total, it's even more important to target these emissions, and that is why we brought some examples today, how NEFI tries to change these numbers and emissions, and also because these four projects are using XR to actually do this. So the first example is Green Bricks, which is focusing on the brick production and with that, on the construction industry, it started in 2022 and runs until next year. The second example is green steel, targeting the steel industry, also started in 22, runs until 25. Then we have NYOT cast, which has the focus on the casting process of aluminium and aluminium foundries. It started in 21 and finishes this year. And last but not least, we have the Compass project, which is not out of NEFI, but from another initiative. And it's tackling the aerospace and automotive industry with a focus on circularity. So I will start with Gersa will start with green bricks, sorry.
No problem. We both work together on this project, so it's basically the same. Before introducing green bricks, there is also something that I wanted to highlight today. So basically all of the projects that we're bringing, they have a very strong energy background, very strong research background on that, and very specific goals to achieve. What we tried to do today is bring you the main goals for each of these projects, but these projects are so much more than this one goal that you will see on the slide. We just wanted to have you go through the general goal of the projects, which is energy focused, and basically the second part would be the XR application. So the same thing will happen for all of the four projects today. So the very first project is Green Bricks. Green Bricks is actually one of my favorite projects of the NEFI network. Because it's so easy to grasp and so easy to understand what is so cool, what is so new that they have done. So the main energy goal of Green Bricks is basically to develop, to implement, and to demonstrate an industrial scale concept of a carbon neutral brick factory. Now, why is that so special? Why is that something to be highlighted? Well, if you go to the next slide, so basically here what we're seeing is a brick tunnel kiln, which is basically something used to bake your bricks, if I can say that in a simple matter. And in the case of Green Bricks in Wienerberger, as you can see in the logo down below, in this case, this kiln is 100% powered up by renewable energy, which is usually not the case. And this is something really special that Green Bricks brings in this project, but this is not the only one. Something else that I want to highlight that is special energy-wise from this project is the fact that they are also introducing fully carbon neutral clay mixtures, which is basically the raw material that you need before you could produce any bricks. So this entire production process is focused on renewable energy and reducing carbon emissions. And they also did that by introducing a very special layout of a heat generation network so that they can reuse the heat, and so that they can also, in this case, reduce the primary energy consumption need. Two main results that I want to highlight from Green Bricks is basically, the very first one is a reduction in carbon emissions by 90%. And when it comes to the primary energy demand, a reduction by 40%. And these are results that really need to be celebrated, because we're talking about Wienerberger, which is one of the largest brick production companies, not only in Austria, but I think also in the region. They are quite high up placed. So as you can see, this project is really contributing in terms of transforming industry. And now we wanted to take all of this great effort and translate that into an XR concept that can be easier digested, so to say, by different audiences. Basti will tell you more about it.
Yes, so that's a snapshot from the XR application. It's basically a visualization of the new brick plant that was newly constructed in Uttendorf in Upper Austria. It highlights the key components that are needed in the whole brick production process. And also it features what you see here with the colorful arrows. It should show the energy flows that are resulting from the new heat network that was developed in the project and had the result of 40% energy reduction. And the goal was to make this whole thing and concept more comprehensible, more accessible. And yes, we also have, in this project, we also have another use of XR, which was a game that features the new Wienerberger products, like for example, they developed new bricks and a new adhesive for these bricks. And the goal of this game was to highlight the overall simplified workflow using these products. So you had to complete a house wall, a brick wall, with an XR application to see that it's actually pretty easy to build such a wall using this product. So it was basically a product demo in XR. Yes, so that brings us to the next project, which is green steel. And this focuses on the steel industry and aims on decarbonizing the steel production process. Since this sector is heavily dependent on fossil energy, it's even more important to tackle this and to replace these fossil fuels and energies with CO2 neutral ones. The challenge here was to adapt the industrial furnaces that are used to melt the steel actually for them to use CO2 neutral energies but maintain the high product quality. And in order to actually have this energy, a big part of this project was that we had to identify CO2 neutral energy sources and also find a concept to bring them to the factories and distribute them in the area. Yes. So that's one of the first Alpine plants that was functioning as a demonstration site, and all these concepts that are researched here are applied, for example, here, but also should be applied in the future to other sectors and other industrial sites.
Now we're going to talk about the XR application when it comes to green steel. So as we already mentioned, steel is one of the industries that is heavily relying on gas, basically, and one of the industries that can profit the most from renewable energy sources. But as Basti already mentioned, you need to find these renewable energy sources before you can actually make some change. So what we try to do with the XR application is basically have it serve as a planning tool basically for an entire region. So here in the very first photo, you are seeing 3D map visualization of a region in Styria which in which most of the factories of voestalpine are located in. So we can say that this region is very much focused on industry. And basically on the photo down below, we are seeing simulation of alternative energy sources, which are photovoltaic. So the first one is photovoltaic solution, windmills, but also hydrogen. We shouldn't forget to mention hydrogen. So with all of these simulations, we will then have a calculation for the energy supply demand when it comes to the entire region. The whole thing, so the application is also coupled with Daimler, which is a software that our researchers and scientists in IT often use to have all of this calculations at hand. So basically, as you can see, anybody that is going through the XR application can see how in this region you can calculate the certain energy demand for the steel production, and also see how these renewable energy sources can then fit within this energy demand. Next, we're going to show you another project of ours, which is in Bioticast. It's good that it's following green steel, because we're still on the foundry concept, so to say. So we go from steel now to aluminium, and as you can see in the slide, the very main goal of the energy goal of this particular project is the decarbonization of the aluminium casting industry, particularly focusing on the die casting process. And what is something to highlight is the fact that in this project, we're also showcasing a sustainable concept of Green Foundry 4.0, which Basti will also show in the XR application a bit later. You can, okay. So basically this is taken from LKR. Do I pronounce that right? So in Ranshofen. So all of the projects that we're showcasing today, they all have been implemented at different regions throughout Austria. And Envioticas is implemented in Ranshofen, and here you're seeing a part of the process, the die casting, the metal die casting process and the machine. The idea and the main goal here was to reduce the CO2 emissions by in this sector by 30%, and then creating a pathway to then in the future fully decarbonize the aluminium industry, which is not as easy as it sounds. To tell you more about the Green Foundry 4.0 concept, we will now showcase the XR application. So Basti, if you can go through.
Yes. So the XR application in this project was actually functioning as a heads-up display for this specific die casting machine. Now we've heard the word die casting machine a lot of times. Don't be scared, nobody dies in these machines. They are just used to create aluminium forms somehow, so it's aluminium is melted and then with high pressure put into a shape, and then it's cooled down, and then you have a shape often used in automotive industry, for example. So for this machine in this project, we developed an XR application that visualizes real-time data of this machine and is connected to the machine. So you always have an overview of, for example, sensor data, temperatures, error messages, but also energy consumption of the process, which allows you to monitor the whole casting process, and also helps the decision making in this process with a focus on energy savings and environmental aspects. And the last project that we brought today is Compass, which is not coming from the NEFI, NEFI network, thank you, but from Horizon Europe, and it includes 13 partners from all over Europe that are coming from research institutions and industry. They are representing Austria, the Netherlands, Italy, and Germany and Spain. Yeah. And this project is tackling the waste that is produced in the aerospace and automotive industry, which is a lot. And an important part of this project is the development of digital tools, like, for example, the so-called digital product passport, which functions as a tracking, so to say, for parts and materials. For example, if you take a plane, every single part of this plane should have such a digital product passport, so it's traceable, so you always have the history of the part. And then, which brings us to the focus of this project, make it suitable and better recyclable and make it better suited for remanufacturing. The project focuses on materials such as sheet metals and thermoplastic composites. And if we look at aluminium, for example, which is often used in plane parts and sheet metals, the goal of Compass here is to remanufacture 20% of the waste that would usually be created and just shredded down and dumped. It should be a shortcut, so to say, from the waste creation to a new application and to a new life of this part. In this project, it's limited, so to say, to reforming, so you don't have to melt the parts, but you reform them in another shape, so you can use them for another purpose, which also saves energy, for example, and emissions, of course.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to the XR part of the project. So basically, how Compass translates their goals to XR. So the very first picture that you're seeing is an aircraft fuselage, which is ready for dismantling. I also, when I saw it for the first time, I was a bit shocked because you're not used to seeing them like that. But this is how an aircraft looks right before it is ready to dismantle. With the goal of Compass, we are trying to build an aid overlay, so to say, a virtual overlay that would then help the dismantling process, especially when it comes to the cutting part. So right now you're seeing on the right side of the presentation a 3D model of this particular fuselage, and in the different section is basically illustrated how these different colors are representing different alloys, and they need to be separated before they can be repurposed and reused. And basically the XR application would aid this particular process. So it would aid to differentiate between the alloys, but also, of course, connect them to the digital passport that my colleague just mentioned before. Something to highlight is also the fact that Compass is one of our youngest projects. It has started only in January this year, meaning we are still working on a broader concept when it comes to the XR application, and we're currently working on it. There is also the idea to perhaps involve training as an important part of the XR applications in Compass, because as you can imagine, it would be quite helpful to also train whoever is doing the dismantling process right beforehand. Okay, we can go to the conclusive slide. I hope that with our presentation you have had an idea of how XR is contributing to environmental tech. So we all know the power of XR, but perhaps this is one of the most unusual use cases that you might have seen on stage today. But my favorite part, if I would choose from all of this contributions, so to say, is the fact that XR really helps to bring your concepts nearer to any audience. So it's a great help for us to be able to translate the very hard work that our researchers and scientists do to everyone who is willing to hear how our work can transform industry towards climate neutrality. And with that, I think we're coming to an end.
Yes, so if you'd like to learn more or get in contact, feel free to reach out. These are our contacts. The QR code will bring you to the NEFI page, which gives you more information and also more information about the projects. And with that, I say thank you for being here, and we're open for your questions.
Thank you so much, Gersa and Bastian. Does anybody have a question? If not, maybe I will just start asking you if you want to elaborate a bit more about the NEFI initiative and also what are the next steps for you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Flavia, for that. So basically, the NEFI initiative involves more than 120 partners, and it's focused on research institutions, technology providers, and also industry partners. And these are solutions that are highly focused on bringing Austria, to the forefront when it comes to this initiative, which is a very broad initiative and an initiative that all of us are working really, really hard towards. NEFI is followed by a NEFI Plus, which is the second step, so to say, of NEFI, and we call it the innovation lab of our network. And of course, today we presented 3 projects out of NEFI and one other project in that same pathway and regard. But I want to say that NEFI has so many other interesting projects that that are worth to be seen, and perhaps some of you might have some interest to see how you can collaborate with us and also maybe bring another XR perspective towards them.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And if there are no other questions, then thanks a lot again.